We're going to give Ms. Dietrich just a moment to run from the back of the room to the front of the room. Good evening. This meeting of the Planning Commission for the City of East Ridge for April the 6th, 2026 will now come to order. Ms. Dietrich, roll call, please.
Chairperson Tuggle?
Here.
Vice Chairperson Howe?
Here.
Commission Member Cornelius?
Here.
Commission Member Williams? Commission Member Witt?
Thank you. And I trust we've had an opportunity to review the minutes from the December 1st, 2025 meeting and the January 15th, 2026 workshop meeting. And I'll entertain a motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve both sets of minutes. And roll call, please.
Vice Chairperson Howe?
Yes.
Commission Member Cornelius?
Yes.
Commission Member Witt?
Yes.
Chairperson Tuggle?
Yes. All right, in the communication and comments by the public, we usually do each one of these, if you've been to these meetings before, at each item. So we'll call, as 6A comes in, we'll call for that, and as 6B comes in, we'll call for that one. And there is no old business. At this point, one of the requests, the next item, is actually my employer. So I think I'm only required to recuse myself from the vote, but I'm actually going to turn over the entire meeting to the Vice Chairperson, Ms. Howe, and have her complete the remainder, but I would like to stay up here as I want to be involved in the mobile food vendor ordinance later in the session.
Thank you, Mr. Tuggle. With no old business, we will start with new business 6A. Item 6A, consider the request of Easy Auto Power Sports to have the property located at 1502 Swope Drive, tax map ID number 169KB003, rezoned from R2 Residential Duplex District to C2 General Commercial District. Mr. Howell.
Yes, good evening, members of the Planning Commission. So, Building Department staff has prepared a compatibility compatibility challenges for this particular request, which is in your packet. I'm going to go through these real quick just to highlight some areas of this. So, the property is bordered by commercial use, including a single-family dwelling to the south located at 1504 Swope Drive, which is currently zoned C2 General Commercial District and is legal non-conforming to its district. The property was rezoned from R1 to C2 per Ordinance 592 with no conditions in place. To the east is a commercial business and south in single-family structures. The single-family dwelling located at 1 Woodward Circle is C2 and is legal non-conforming. To the north is a commercial business zoned C2 General Commercial District, in which current business is seeking a rezoning of the 1502 Swope Drive parcel to expand their footprint. To the west, there's a mixed zoning consisting of C2 General Commercial District, C6 Low Traffic Commercial District, R2 Residential District, and O1 Office District. The rezoning of the 1502 Swope Drive parcel to C2 will remove the existing R2 transitional zoning next to the single-family dwelling at 1504 Swope Drive, which is currently legal non-conforming property as previously stated. It is important to note that the 1504 Swope Drive was not blanket rezoned. This rezoning from R1 to C2 occurred as a result of an application submitted by a property owner and approved by the City of East Ridge per Ordinance 592 as originally described. Although the buffer requirements between the C2 parcels are not mandatory, staff strongly recommends implementing buffer regulations along the southern boundary of the 1502 Swope Drive to protect the legal non-conforming single-family home located at 1504 Swope Drive. It's suggested that a 6-foot tall privacy fence be installed along the southern property line to create a buffer between the commercial building and the adjacent residential homes. A building height condition should also be in place. Currently, the C2 district would allow for a structure to be 72 feet in height with a parapet not exceeding 48 inches above the roof deck. Conditions for exterior lighting controls to avoid light spillover in residential subdivisions should also be considered. Use conditions are highly recommended that would prohibit the following uses: automobile service stations, car washes, repair garages, ambulance services, miniature golf courses, driving theaters, similar outdoor amusements, and recreational vehicle camps, and other facilities to limit potential nuisance to adjacent to the residential properties. As stated in the RPA staff report, the site is compatible with adjacent land uses with the following use or conditions being put in place. 6-foot privacy fence, limited the building height, have exterior lighting control, and the use conditions in place.
We hear from the applicant. You'll have to state your name and address for the record.
Yeah, Ben Chandler, 3574 Enclave Bay Drive, Chattanooga, Tennessee.
You get that?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Members of the Planning Commission, thank you for hearing our request tonight. Yes, when we opened EA Power Sports back about 10 months ago, we were strictly an independent used power sport dealer. So those units would arrive at our facility assembled, cleaned, and ready to roll. One thing that has changed in our business over the last 60 days is we have been approved for a franchise, an original equipment manufacturer, Segway Power Sports. It's a nice complement to our business and hopefully will increase our sales. But one thing that has become apparent is that these arrive in fairly large crates, and very similar to what you would see at Southern Honda, Pandora, or Mountain Motorsports. And final assembly of these units are actually done by the dealer. So we need a spot to put these things together. It's not heavy work, but it is work that requires manual labor. We expect to have 2 employees at this facility that will be attaching tires to the units, roof racks, and winches. But we need a space to do that. Because we're now a new OEM Segway Power Sports dealer, we would like to increase our showroom space. We have a detail bay that's currently in EA Power Sports, the existing building right now. We would like to move that to this facility, tear down a wall, and so that we have some additional showroom space to sell the power sports. And so that's the reason for the request tonight, and that's why we purchased the property.
Are there any questions or comments from council for now? Okay. We'll hear from public comments. Yep. Anyone who's ready, come on up. You'll have to state your name and address for the record.
My name's Elaine Powell, and I'm at 3 Woodard Circle. My backyard butts up right to the Easy Auto, and then, the motorcycle shop's then right beside us.
Okay.
So when we got the letter and we knew that the traffic, the noise, everything that would come with it, also the roads being so in bad shape right now, we're just like, okay, how much more will we endure as a homeowner, which we moved there in 2009 thinking we'll retire here, and of course it's getting more and more commercial, which, looking at Ringo Road's not that big deal, but at the same point, everything else is going to come about. So I took it upon myself to go around and to let the neighbors know, those that didn't get letters, what would happen. So we made up a little petition and got 28 of our neighbors to sign, stating that they would be against, this 1502 becoming part of the commercial residential, thinking maybe that'll be less going up and down Swope Drive, because it's, like I said, it's getting a little hectic.
Okay.
My statement, it was just that neighbors respectfully request that the property located at 1502 zoned and used for residential purpose only. We own this property for commercial use, as such change overall quality of life in our neighborhood. So that's all that we knew, to do. Whether it carries any weight or not, I don't know, but for a couple of days we did go out and actually saw some of our neighbors we haven't seen in a while. So.
That's very nice. Thank you so much.
My name is Edna DeGarmo, and I live at 12 Wooders.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Pardon?
Your name?
Edna DeGarmo.
Edna?
DeGarmo. G-E, capital G.
Yeah, can you turn your mic? Sorry.
I'm sorry.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Edna DeGarmo.
Thank you.
Yep. You want me to spell it again?
If you don't mind, just so I get it correct.
D-E, capital G-A-R-M-O.
Thank you.
And I will try to slow down. I live at 12 Wooders Circle. It's right in the middle of the circle. And let's see. I'm concerned about this, but I'm concerned because one of the main reasons I'm concerned is that I'm sorry for this gentleman to say this, but the corporate owners of the company have not been good neighbors. And I have lived at 12 Wooders Circle since 1978, and I have seen a lot of change on my street and the area on Ringo Road around our resident. But people have gone from having homes that were built in 49, 48, and they have upgraded all those homes. So it's a good street and it's a good neighborhood. we don't have many rental properties anymore. There's some, but it's almost all owned by the residents. And it's been my experience that the corporation, just for instance, when they built the motorcycle place, they somehow during the construction they had a sinkhole, and the sinkhole was right in the middle of Swope. And we couldn't get around that very easily, and they just didn't seem to care about how that happened. And so eventually East Ridge got in, but it was around the holidays, and they didn't seem to care. Now, I know that what I'm about to tell you next has nothing to do with the motorcycle, but it does have to do with the corporation as a whole because of the auto place. This is just the I'm a CPA, and so I'm talking about corporations and things from that nature. But we've asked that facility to please not use our street to test cars. And there used to be a manager that used to do that. I tried again about 4 or 5 months ago, and basically I got told just to get lost. And so that's not being a very good neighbor. And already we're starting to have more sounds from motorcycles. And you can hear it really on Clemens. You can hear this. And I don't think that they're telling the people who ride their motorcycles, who are testing their motorcycles, to have respect for our neighborhood. So that is a big problem for me, and it's the problem for a lot of the other neighbors. But that's done. That's a foregone conclusion. That was already approved. And that business is in business. But I don't know. The man's telling us what it's going to be. I don't know what it's going to be. I hope that that's it. But right now, the whole thing, and it's just a problem that they keep building and they keep wanting to do more things. And from my point of view, they're not a good neighbor. So I don't know what they'll do. I don't know if outside that facility where they're wanting to build motorcycles for this corporation that they now buy from. I don't know what that's going to be. I don't know. I don't know. And all I see is all this happening with this company is a detriment to my neighborhood and to my street. Like I said, I've been there since 1978. And everything was going really well. But I will say this, in defense of the company, it looks, I don't want to curse, it looks a lot better than it did when I moved in. We had a motorcycle shop there then, and they parked the motorcycles on Ringo Road. They wouldn't respect the neighborhood. And we come to the commission, they wouldn't do anything. So it does look a lot better, and it looks a lot safer. But this is continual this is continual detriment to the neighborhood, in my opinion.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So I don't think I have anything left on my notes. Oh, I do have a question.
Sure.
Why didn't I get a letter? I mean, used to when they were making changes like this. For instance, I live on Woodard Circle, but when they had the post office, that's a good example. They sent everybody in that area a letter.
Mr. Howell?
Yeah, everybody within the 300-foot radius gets a zoning or a zoning notification letter. I'm not quite sure why you didn't get one at 12 Woodward Circle. Is
Well,
that
I'm
right?
sure that it may not have been the distance.
It might not have been,
But,
ma'am.
you know, in the past, it was that. And I would have liked to have known about this particular. Was that an East Ridge rule, or is it a Hamilton County?
That's an East Ridge rule for the Planning Commission when we advertise for rezonings.
Yeah.
Did that not be changed? I mean, I'm affected by this.
Yeah.
I didn't see a sign.
That is correct. Yes, staff does place signage.
There's a
for the
sign
parcel
and
rezoning.
again,
haven't seen
the
a
letters
sign.
that go out within
So
300-foot radius.
But, and since I'm here, I don't know if the Planning Commission has anything to do with it. However, we've been having trouble with Woodard Circles, our street, for a very long time. And so they finally came and fixed the two sinkholes and fixed some other areas. But that's been months ago, and we still need to have our road paved.
Mr. Howell's
hasn't-
taking a note.
You made it, you made
He's
corrections
taking a
to
note.
it, but you didn't pave. Are you supposed to pave it?
I'm not supposed to pave it, ma'am, but I will find some
Yeah.
people that are supposed
I
to
mean,
pave it.
She,
Yes,
he
ma'am.
can talk to the right
And I
people
have
who can help you.
heard.
Yes, you sure can.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Anyway, but that's my concern. And
Thank
like
you.
I said, I just don't think that they're very good neighbors.
Thank you so much. Mr. McClendon? Please state your name and your address for the record.
Taller than Edna. Tucker McClendon, 19 Woodard Circle. Live right across from Miss Edna. I did not know about this until got to meet our neighbors from down the road. And I know the position y'all are in, work for the county, deal with zoning all the time. I'll start where Miss Edna left off, is our road infrastructure. I don't know if the city attorney got to drive down that road earlier today, but it is a roller coaster. At one point, you go to a manhole cover, we have bumps that big because it's never been repaired from when they graded it. And I've talked to the mayor, and I think that's going to happen soon, but we've been that way for about 8 months. You can go look at my 4Runner out front when you leave. There's a piece of metal hanging off of it because one of the holes in the road are so deep that it drug it off of it. And that's a road that y'all are going to put, or maybe put, commercial on. The three businesses that the applicant stated are nowhere near residential. They are all on Ringgold Road or to soon be Camp Jordan Parkway over at Exit 1, nowhere near residential. And so when you pull onto Swope, you have to, because it's a narrow residential road, you have to stop and let a car pass you before you can keep going. We live it every single day. There are parts in the corners of Woodard where you don't have to do that, but it is a narrow street with some big bumps. I would say, and this is particularly important to me as someone that was on the school board here in District 8 in East Ridge, we want family-friendly neighborhoods. Me and my wife walk, now that the weather's nice, we walk every single day with our two dogs. As Miss Edna said, I've owned my house since 2018. We've seen our neighborhood come alive with young families moving to East Ridge. It's the only place you can really afford a house in Hamilton County in East Ridge, and that's a beautiful thing for this city to capitalize on. But we have test driving cars through our neighborhood because Woodard's just a circle. You could do 4 laps around it is a mile. And you can get on that, and you could basically test off-road right now because of how bad it is. And we've had motorcycles coming through there and ATVs that come through there now. And so that doesn't lead to having family-friendly kids playing. I think you have kids that play outside all the time. A family that just moved has families. We're expecting our first child, and we don't want to leave East Ridge, but we also will have no choice if we have or commercial coming in. I would say other things on road infrastructure, you know, I was going to be okay to some degree, but the fact that these crates are going to have to come in, these heavy crates on heavy flatbeds, presumably, or trucks, is just, there's no way that will work on Woodard Circle. There was, as it stated, there was a sinkhole. I reported it to the city. I sent it to the mayor and Mr. Miller, the city manager at the time. It took 3 months to get fixed. They fixed it. I think EA fixed it. It collapsed again, got bigger, and then the city finally, I think, came out and fixed it. So I would also say that before this, EA has bought that property that they're applying for at $300,000. Well above market rate for the house right next door that just got renovated is on the market for $275,000. Now, I don't worry about it so much, but there is still a lot of folks on our street on fixed income, and that will affect them come next assessment in 3 years. It will. Okay. Second of all, since you want to give looks, this doesn't smell the pass test, or it doesn't smell the test at all. Our chair of the Planning Commission was on the IDB when the Board of Regents for this went through. He recused himself, thank goodness for that. But now he is off the IDB, which I currently serve on, and is on the Planning Commission as we're going through rezoning. This building was at record 8 months ago it opened, and there was now this need in the last 60 days to do this. It doesn't pass the smell test at all. I work in politics. I know how the sausage is made. It doesn't pass the smell test at all. We're asking that leave our neighborhood the way it is. We're not on a through street. We do not go into Georgia like most roads in East Ridge. You got to go to another road, then you got to make another turn back to where, you know, the city is investing a lot of money into a park back there. And so I would just say that I'm all for business. I'm all for us using the Board of Regents to our advantage, but it should not be to the detriment of the people that live here and the people that want to move here. That business will not bring in the amount of money that is worth that you're going to drive out families. And so with that, you only need 2 votes to pass this tonight, so it will probably be hard to do. I would assume if it passes tonight, we will all be here for the city council meeting as well. But I would just ask, whose side do you want to be on? The people that actually live here, the people that vote here, or a corporation that's not really bringing a lot? The other thing I would say about being a good neighbor, drive past Swope on a Friday night when they're throwing their parties and you can barely get through there because they're parked on both sides down the neighborhoods, in the parking lots. There's music, there's all kinds of stuff. Just another thing that we don't want that even further. And I would like confirmation that they don't have plans to buy the house right next door that's for sale also, that's already zoned commercial too. Would be a good reassurance on our end. So thank you.
Thank you. Questions or comments from planning commissioners? Could you state, sorry, I'm so sorry, I didn't realize you were getting up to speak. So please do, and state your name and your address for Ms. Dietrich.
Silver, live 1 Woodard Circle, at the corner of Swope. My backyard and driveway and back is right across from this place.
Okay.
And I get enough noise from the other place every morning. I don't need an alarm clock. They wake me up running their bikes for 30 minutes before they cut them off. Warm them up, I guess. I don't know. So it's going to be a lot worse if they open this place up. Probably force me to move. So it's right there in my side of my yard. I don't want that. I've lived there since 1980, and I don't want to move.
I understand. Thank you.
Force me to.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Hi, I'm Brian Bennett. I own 1506 Swope Drive, so
Okay.
just a couple houses down from the property that was just, I guess, bought. I'm not going to beat a dead horse here and keep talking about the roads and all that. You guys have heard it needs looked at. Not exactly their fault, but it needs looked at. I would say that he's right. I do have kids. We like to play out in the yard and stuff, and we've been primarily in the backyard now, just because of the added traffic and anything that's going to add any sort of more traffic or noise. My son is disabled. He's autistic. Loud noises, it's not good for him. So anything that's going to be expansion, we have another kid on the way. I would just say, please no thank you. It's already busy enough on that street, loud enough on that street, and we don't need any more. Thank you.
Hello.
Is Ernie Powell. You heard from my wife earlier. We live at 3 Woodard Circle. I just wanted to add to the fact that I also have a form of autism, and loud noise bothers me. And when they have these parties over here at the motorcycle shop on the weekends, these people leave out of here, and it sounds like a drag strip. Those bikes are loud, and they're getting on it like they're literally on a drag strip. And it's very disturbing. In our house, we've had new doors and windows put in. We've had a lot of insulation put in trying to calm down the noise, but it's like living beside a drag strip. And like David said, we bought this house to retire in this neighborhood, knowing it was an elderly retirement neighborhood. And if this continues, we will be forced to have to move. And to sell our property, you can't buy a 3-bedroom house on an acre of land anywhere around here except for around about $400,000. So if they want to buy me out, we'll move. But I'm going to stand up with my neighbors. We don't want the neighborhood going where it's going because it's literally unbearable for elderly people and people with mental disorders. And so I'll just leave that there. But I just wanted to put in my 2 cents worth.
Thank
because
you.
we will be forced to move if it continues.
Thank you. Ms. Witt, you had a question for the applicant? We're supposed to keep them to 2 minutes each person. So if you want to come up again and make another comment for two more minutes. Sure.
No, you're fine. We have it on the record from the first time.
Tucker made me think of this. I audited a lot of manufacturing companies. I worked at a lot of manufacturing companies. There is no way that this company is going to be able to get the parts that they have described in that facility without blocking our street. There's no way that they're going to be able to do that without blocking Swope Drive. How long are they going to block it? I don't know, but you got to have a really good truck driver to get that in there. No guarantee they're going to have that. But it is going to be next to impossible for them to get the type of shipments that this man is talking about from his vendor into that facility right now. I don't know how they're going to do it, but they will be blocking our street. They will be blocking the street for emergency vehicles and for residents. There's no way he's going to be able to get that in. He didn't discuss that, and I just wanted to mention that.
Thank you. Okay, Ms. Witt, you have a question for the applicant? Yep. Absolutely. Mr. Chandler?
Would you like me to respond to these first? Okay. Sure. Well, number one, I want to say we have no interest in being bad neighbors. And for Mrs. Norwood on the test drives, I'll leave you my card tonight with Easy Auto. You can call me directly, and I'll tell the location manager at Easy Auto that we are not to encourage people to take test drives in your neighborhood anymore. And I would understand and I appreciate where you're coming from on that. I will do the same thing with EA Power Sports, and I'll recommend that they do not encourage anybody to go down Swope Drive. So I apologize about that. And now that I'm aware of it, I'll make sure that's handled. And if for some reason it falls off, we can address it again. Second thing, talking about the trucks that deliver these units to EA Power Sports, the one benefit to operating Easy Auto is we have a shared parking agreement. So right now, when trucks are delivered, cars are delivered on car haulers to Easy Auto, they come into Easy Auto's parking lot on the east side. That's where we have the heavy-duty asphalt. We are keenly aware Swope Drive is not big enough to operate an 18-wheeler or anything large enough, and we would not try. And if anybody has tried, it's been purely a mistake and it's not repeated. So the unloading and loading of vehicles at EA Power Sports would be done on Easy Auto's lot. And there's just no way to make that work on Swope Drive. So just be aware of that. There was nothing sinister about what we tried to accomplish here. We opened up the business with the spirit of being strictly a used power sport dealer, and then later on, had we known, we would have tried to do this all in one foul swoop at the beginning. It would have been much more efficient, and we would have tried to combine the lots and build one building instead of two. So I hate that it's happened this way. I hate that it's been broke up and we're now doing this again, but there was nothing sinister about this. It's just the way the circumstances kind of fell into place. So I've heard corporation, it's me and three other partners. There's no large corporation. And I live in Chattanooga and they live in Cleveland. We're all East Tennessee people. We've been, Easy Auto has been in East Ridge for 35 years. And so we've been local property taxpayers for a long time. We don't want to hurt anything in East Ridge. It's quite the opposite. We want to see the city grow and prosper. So I'm sorry that if our operation has hurt you all in any way, and I'll do my best to make sure that it's addressed. And so I'm open for any questions from the commissioners. That's one distinction that's worth making. This is not a retail building. There's no additional people coming and parking and interacting with the public. So these trucks will come over to Easy Auto, unload. We'll take them into that building and do final assembly there. We have no issues with any of the recommendations that the city has proposed. We'll put up a fence. We'll deal with lighting. And so we have no issue, we take no issue with that. The one limitation that I think will have to be addressed is that we are going to be working on, what is deemed a power sport, and that I think the definition of that is a vehicle. So there'll be garage work going on. It's not a car wash, but it's going to be a detail facility. So we'll be washing these units over there as well. So that's an important distinction I wanted to make because I don't want that overlooked. But any of the other items we're happy to address and abide by. So, and happy to have restrictions placed on it. We open at 10 a.m., both locations, and so I can assure you none of our employees are getting there at the crack of dawn. I've checked. They're not doing that. But I am happy to address saying, hey, look, we nothing before 9 a.m. or 9:30. I'm happy to address that as well. We want to be good neighbors, and we simply just want to be ready for business when we open at 10 a.m. It doesn't do us any good to put out our inventory super early. There's nobody shopping at 6, 7, 8 a.m.
Are the events that were mentioned by citizens, are those just retail store events? Are they
are
operated by
classic,
Easy Auto?
They're classic bike night. They're not offered by Easy Auto, but they're offered by EA Power Sports. They seem to run in fits and phases. We'll do them at the start of riding season, March and April,
Okay.
and maybe October. I'm certainly up for working with the residents to limit those. If I was in their shoes, I'd be happy to do that as well. So,
Okay.
I have one question. So what you're saying is there'll be no additional traffic added to Swope Drive from this, is what I'm hearing.
The business is already operating.
Right.
This is final assembly. Those units we put into EA Power Sports up front. And I would imagine that most of the inbound and outbound traffic will come at our two exits for the facility. So. We are moving two core operations into a support facility that support that front building. And so, like I said, there's no public interaction with anybody or anything going on back there. We'll have the minimum legally required parking spaces. It will be, we want it to look aesthetically pleasing, so we want it to mirror what the front building looks like, but no, there won't be any public interaction with these folks, and we think it might be one or two employees.
And the building is going to be all new construction or remodel?
All new.
Okay.
And it will be built closer to your building and?
We would prefer for it to be built as close to Ringgold Road as possible. So what we will likely do is try to merge the lot lines and build it as close to the existing facility as we can.
And if you do that, what kind of distance would it be from the back of the new building to the property line, roughly?
I'm not sure what the exact distance would be. We obviously would abide by any ordinances, but I'm not entirely sure what the distance would be. But the closer we can get it to the existing facility, the better.
Okay. Sure.
One reason we're so concerned and he seems like a really nice guy, but our neighbor that lives on 1502 that's being forced to move has cut our grass ever since we've lived there. We moved there in 2009 when we bought the house.
Mm-hmm.
When they built that motorcycle shop, building up that property and putting that place there caused our neighbor Kenny, it caused that property to flood so bad he lost thousands of dollars in mowing equipment. That's what he does for a living, is cut grass. And he lost a lot of money because that property just flooded the backyard. He lost tools, lawnmower equipment, and he tried fighting it. And from my understanding, he's just out of luck and has no choice but to move. And I feel like that the guy he rented from didn't have a choice. When they built that motorcycle shop, it just caused the back of the yard of that property to just flood. And so I feel like the guy that owned it didn't have a choice but to sell. And so that's what we're worried about. We saw how they were treating Kenny and how he was just left out in the cold. And so we kind of feel like we're no different than Kenny. How's it going to affect us? And so I feel like that was pretty dirty. So the fact that these people are having to move and Kenny has nowhere to go.
Mm-hmm.
He's low income. He can't afford to rent an apartment at the prices of today. He was able to live there because he's a handyman. He can do plumbing, electrical, anything. He was working for the guy that he rented
Might
from
need his phone number
to
at
fix
some
up
point.
houses, and that's how he earned his.
I'm sorry, just to clarify, you're saying that the property that was sold to EA, that's where he was living?
Yeah.
And so, but he was renting.
Well, he paid for his rent by working on
Sure.
on his guys, all
Okay.
his rental properties, and plus mows grass.
I understand.
When they built that, he lost a lot of money in mowing equipment
I
because
understand.
of the water damage.
Thank you.
We did. We had TriStar Engineering, I think, went out and looked at it. All of the elevations were correct on that time. It was noted that that property does receive a lot of water from the west as well. So it had been flooding in that area for quite a while. And the elevation was, when they did shoot the elevation, it was correct all the way to Ringo Road for the drainage area that they did put in. So,
Thank you.
yeah, he's correct. What Tennessee is a free flow state. Water has an easement right, so it does. But it was shot, like I said, it was shot by TriStar Engineering. there was flooding in that area on the 1502 property for quite a while. Not necessarily just when EA was developed at that time.
Got it.
I did some small calculations as well for Scott as well. It's roughly around 30. If they push that building closer to the EA Power Sports, the building they propose is about 45, I think, feet in width. That lot 68 feet in width as well. So it'd be about roughly around 25 to 30 feet clearance from that back property line, somewhere around there. And that's just an estimate, but that's just some figures that they threw out there. Yeah, honestly, Whit, I will have to look at the road infrastructure repaving program. That's not my forte. I'm the building official. I don't deal with the road, so I'll see where that's at on the paving program, and I can get possibly a note out to the individuals, the citizens in that area as well, to see when it's coming up. Yes, like I said, I don't. The only time I'm on that road is for inspections, and it's been quite a while since I've been on Woodward Circle. So,
Thank you.
also, one more thing, I noticed there was a lot of talk about the 1502 Swope Drive and possibly having a entrance exit out of there. I believe that EA Power Sports, majority of their drive entrances to this can be connected from the front lot. I do believe there was a road parallel to Swope Drive, a drive entrance there that could accommodate for this additional building in the back. And possibly not have any, drive entrance off Swope. Swope Drive's already very narrow, so, we can't, there's no parking on there regardless, because fire apparatus has to have at least 26 feet clearance to get through on those roads. So there would be absolutely no parking.
Okay. I have a couple of clarifying questions and statements. 1504 Swope Drive, that was rezoned from R1 to C2. Is that operating as a commercial business? Do you know that?
It is not. It is currently a legal non-conforming single family.
Okay. Okay.
And I've presented to this board many times that the one Woodward Circle or any of these properties that are currently zoned C2 with no conditions whatsoever on them, anybody could purchase those properties and come there and build anything they wanted to that's a permitted use within the C2 district. So the 1504, potentially a hotel. And this is just hypotheticals, but this is anything that's in there. One Woodward Circle, same thing.
Okay. And then secondary to that, I just want to clarify for everyone that the city of Eastridge passed an ordinance in which none of us could sit on multiple boards rather recently. And so Casey has served the city of Eastridge for many years, both on IDB and the Planning Commission. And when he was forced to choose which board he would decide to stay on based on that new ordinance, he chose the Planning Commission because he felt like this is the place that he could do the most good work. And so I've sat with Casey up here for quite some time, and I just want to make sure that that is clarified for everyone in the room, that there's nothing fishy going on here with this case. Yes. Yeah. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to approve this. I appreciate everybody that's come, but based on what Mr. Howell has said and done to work with the company, the stipulations he's put on here, and I believe that you understand now about being a good neighbor, and that you're going to take care of these things for me, so that don't come back on me. So I make a motion to approve.
Second.
A roll call, please.
Vice Chairperson Howe,
Yes.
Commission Member Cornelius,
Yes.
Commission Member Witt,
Yes.
Chairperson Tuggle.
Abstain.
Would you like to go
Sure,
to
you
our
want
next
to
item?
handle the food? I'll handle the food trucks, no problem. All right, the next item, 6B, once I find it in the packet here, under new business, is to review and discuss the mobile food vendor ordinance. Mr. Howell, are you the point person on this? Okay.
I am the point person.
Please introduce us.
Yes, so members of the Planning Commission, so this has been a very long process. After many months of discussion, this is the final version of the mobile food truck ordinance that's being presented to you guys tonight. This ordinance captures the discussion topics that brought up by each member of the public during the special workshop meeting and by the group as well, thus establishing clear guidelines for permitting applications, location and zoning, operational requirements, vehicle and site standards, special events, health, fire and safety compliance, insurance requirements, enforcement and penalties, and applicable fees. Several key updates have been made to this ordinance since the workshop meeting. Most of these updates were already previously in the mobile food truck ordinance, but here they are as they follows. The definition of overlay districts has now been placed in there. The requirements for trash receptacles and responsibilities is in place. Allowance for 2 special event permits properties outside of an overlay district within a 12-month consecutive period. A 10-foot separation requirement between mobile food vehicles, identification of hours in operation, prohibition of amplified music, and a reinstatement clause which states the permit holder shall receive written notice and any opportunity to remedy any violation unless the violation poses an immediate threat to public safety. Overall, this ordinance provides a structured approach to the managing of mobile food operations within the city. It emphasizes the health, safety, and welfare of everyone involved, including those operating the mobile food truck and patrons of the business.
Thank you. And I understand we've been through many rounds on this, both with the council and the planning commission. So I think we all have discussed it to death at this point. But if there's any feedback from the public, since you guys are here, feel free to comment. Not seeing any takers. Are there any questions from the planning commission?
No, I think we just need to probably approve this.
Finally, there's been a lot of back and forth. Our very first joint session in my 10 years on the planning commission was about this. So I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve the food truck ordinance.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion from Commission Member Witt and a second from Vice Chairperson Howe. Ms. Dietrich, roll call, please.
Vice Chairperson Howe,
Yes.
Commission Member Cornelius,
Yes.
Commission Member Witt,
Yes.
Chairperson Tuggle.
Yes. All right, there being no further business, this meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.